Perfect. Okay. So Marcella is here. Just for quick recap, Marcella. You were the one that had the incident where Lexity wanted to go to the beach, right?
No,
No,
I'm the other one.
the other one. Well, you guys have very similar names, so I'm like trying to piece
It's
them
okay.
together in my head. Okay, so okay, so you reached out in general because you stumbled across my video. Are you one of the mods that are in the Reddit?
No, I'm in contact with one of the mods, but I don't mod myself.
Okay. Is Marcella the mod, or is Marcy the other mod?
No.
Interesting. Okay, just checking. Okay, so I wanted to start quickly because obviously you commented because you had things that you wanted to say. The first thing I'll ask is how familiar are you with either my content in particular or like commentary content in general?
I'm very familiar with commentary content. That's mostly what I watch on YouTube,
Okay,
but I had never heard of you until today. Someone posted your video in the Reddit and I watched it today. Um, and I reached out just because, like, I understand edgy humor and stuff, but I felt like some of it was a little bit hurtful to me. And I'm saying this with like love and respect for what you do. Uh, I just I wanted to clear up details, help you create a better timeline, and also express how it made Marcy and I feel.
sure. The only thing that I'll say, like right off the bat, just to clarify, is that whenever I'm doing any of this kind of stuff, any of the shots that I'm taking are never at the people that are like directly of like a victim in any kind of situation. Like I'm never taking shots at those people. The only people that I'm taking shots at are the people who are essentially the perpetrators of that.
Yeah.
And then I did see the post on Reddit about it specifically. And I, for the record, not gay. I think that's kind of funny that everybody thought that I was a mean gay Perez Hilton. That kind of made me laugh, but definitely not gay. And then also, the other thing that I wanted to bring up, and obviously I don't expect you to answer for every single person that exists in the Reddit or anything like that. Um,
Mhm.
how can you like distinguish for me like why you think that the Reddit is acceptable, but that maybe some of my comments or content was a little like tongue in cheek or something that didn't sit well with you? Like, what's the difference between those two things to you?
I won't say that I agree with everything that's posted on the Reddit.
Okay,
I think I want to clarify that. I I feel like a lot of it is irrelevant to the situation. Um, I don't feel that most people are trying to make fun of the situation, just rather report on it.
hmm,
But again, I understand, like, I like edgy humor as well, and I think it is valid to make light of things. Uh, I just felt like some of the stuff, like when the video of Marcy came up and you had made a joke about polycule stuff, I felt I get it. I so get it. I'm not trying to attack or anything. I felt like it was hurtful to us a little bit, but we at the same time I understand that I put all of this out on the internet and it can be perceived and taken in any way, and that's within your right. So yeah.
sure. And obviously, like that's if you're unfamiliar with my content, that's kind of like a running bit where everybody that I seem to encounter and cover seems to be like polyamorous and they're really invested in having like a harem of women like at their disposal, whether that be like, short-term, long-term relationships, things like that. But it seems to be a pattern, a repeatable pattern for people that are controlling, emotionally abusive, sometimes even physically abusive to kind of fit that niche where, the more people that they can kind of monopolize as far as relationships are concerned, the easier it is necessarily for them to be able to be abusive. Like obviously if I'm super mega abusive and I have five partners, that's five people that I can abuse instead of, like the traditional monogamous, like one. So obviously if you're unfamiliar with my content, I could understand where that was kind of like out of left field, but that's kind of a recurring theme for a lot of the stuff that I generally cover. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about before we start, or does that pretty much cover everything that you wanted to do, like housekeeping wise?
Um, Let me see. I have a list. Let's
Let's
see.
do it.
Oh, I wanted to clarify that you had used Bella's video to just kind of get a general rundown, and um, her video was edited in a way that was out of order, and some of that stuff wasn't exactly right. And so I wanted to clear some of that up today, hopefully, and also the thumbnail of that video. I didn't love my like I'm okay with being in the thumbnail, but editing it as a meme was like, I don't know. Like we could, I don't know. I'm trying to be very careful with what I'm saying and right now.
Oh no, you're totally fine, and please feel free to speak freely. It's fine to be off the cuff. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. If that's something
Okay.
that obviously is something that you don't like, I'm happy to change the thumbnail if you would like. It's not an incredible ask in my opinion. So if that's something that you want me to change, I'm happy to do it. Um,
I just feel like I said, I'm okay with being in a thumbnail, but when I'm painted in a light where I'm down here and oh, I'm the victim and I'm in black and white, like it just felt weird to me.
sure, and if that's something that you want me to change, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
I think that like there is like a pretty significant disconnect between in like you said that you watch a lot of like who's your favorite commentary YouTuber?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but I've been watching Dinkijibo lately. I watch let's see. I watch um iNubber. I watch Ready to Glare, Funky Frog Bait, Calda's Life.
So I'm going to be like on the way other side of that. So I'm watching like Queeman, I'm watching Chud Logic, I'm watching like more, way more on the other side of that where it's going to be like pretty. It's going to be like a little bit more edgy, a little bit more racy, definitely a little bit edgier, darker kinds of humor. Um, and obviously that's something for me personally that it's like it's a balance, right? Like at some point it's like obviously I want to be sensitive to other people and then taking feedback and understanding like hey, this was something that like bothered me. I'm always happy to be like yeah, of course, unless I said like hey, I'm gay and you were like hey, that really bothers me. I'd be like that sucks. Like I can't do anything about that for you. Sorry. But it obviously within reason there are things where it's like can I be like pretty on the nose? I certainly can. And obviously, there are certain situations where when I am on the nose, that's something that I can be more mindful about. And obviously, if that's something that does bother you, it's it's no problem. Like I don't mind editing the thumbnail or like even for example, like in this conversation, like I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of taking like a different tone in the way that I'm talking about it, and it's truthfully not a bother. It's just generally the way that I engage in commentary or like the kind of commentary spheres that I exist in. So like feel free again to just, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe you said like I don't care. It's totally fine to just be like, no, that was like kind of fucking stupid. Like I didn't like that you said that. Not a
Okay.
problem. And again, it's always one of those things where it's gonna come down to do I care enough to change the way that I talk about a certain thing? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no, but it's never going to be like I'm pissed at you for saying like, hey, that was kind of fucked up and I didn't like the way that you said that. Never a bother. So feel free.
Okay.
And like I said, if that is something that bothers you about the thumbnail, not a problem at all. I can change it. No wish.
Yeah, yeah. That would be cool. And I wish Marcy was here. We were had like kind of collaborated and she had some stuff that she wanted to cover as well. And I don't want to speak for her, so hopefully she joins soon. But that is all that I wanted to cover before we start on it.
No problem at all. Thank you, No Justice, for dropping off your little nerds to come and hang out with me. I love you, Queen. I hope that you're well. You're the only British person that I tolerate. Thank you so much. Um, okay, so I have obviously this very crudely constructed timeline that you have seen me work on. Since then, there's obviously been other things, other places that I was made aware today that have a little bit more. Excuse, oh my god, excuse me, of a detailed timeline than I had seen previously. Um,
Hmm.
So outside of what I already have crudely constructed, and I'm happy to put that up on screen, or I can copy and paste it and send it to you if that's what you want to look at. Um, what kind of things here are we wanting to fill in the blanks with?
Okay, well, my story specifically, I feel was, I don't want to say glossed over, um, but my story had a lot more details than what is covered.
Sure.
Um, and people online specifically are getting those details confused, which is understandable. So I could talk about that. Um,
Yes. So to my recollection, and correct me if I'm wrong, and then I'm writing all this stuff down so I can keep track of everything. And it's Marcella, right? I'm not fucking that
yeah,
up. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
So to my recollection, you are the one where it was like in Bella's video, it was the first Lexi crash out video where she was talking about the drinking. That's where that was you. Okay. So tell me about that.
yeah. So, okay. So the video that Bella included where Lexity was, it was a reel of her saying that she just needed a hug.
Mhm.
Bella had painted that as that happened after we met. But that was the video that I actually reached out to her initially with.
The hug
Uh,
video was the first one that you reached out over?
yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't know Anastasia at all. I had been watching her on Instagram for maybe a month at that point, basically right around the time she became homeless and started her GoFundMe.
Can I
And so I
ask?
didn't do,
Oh, sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
go
Continue.
ahead.
I was gonna say,
Uh,
can you tell me what the allure was to her? Like, what about her content specifically you liked, where you felt comfortable enough to be like, here's somebody on the internet that like I watch their content, but I don't really know them, but I would be willing to go and like see them in real life. Like, what was the allure of that for you?
I think, and I speak sort of on this in my YouTube video, talking about it, but I am an abuse victim just in relationships and with my childhood. And so I think I am drawn to those kind of people, unfortunately, which this whole situation has really opened my eyes to that pattern and those people that I go for.
Okay,
Uh,
so almost like a
but
blind spot, right? Where like if there were red flags you didn't really notice, but you just kind of had like a maybe just like a gap in judgment just because of like your past.
yep, yep. And I think I saw subconsciously saw things in her that I was attracted to,
Okay.
that my abusers, like the same qualities my abusers have had.
And I apologize because I continually mix the two of you guys up all the time. Um, were you the one as well that she tried to convince to leave their boyfriend, or is that Marcy?
That's mercy.
Okay. Okay. So you are like, see her on Instagram, watching the reels. You're like, I like this content. Like, this is something that just kind of like clicks for me or whatever. Posting a little bit
Mhm.
about like, oh, feeling lonely. Like, wish I, could get like a hug or have somebody to talk to. And you're like, oh, fuck. Like, that sucks. Like, I feel like, okay, like going to see this person. So go and see her, hang out. What was that like?
So yeah, I reached out on her reel and I said, I'm in Southern Oregon. I sent you a DM and I told her, I can give you a hug. And the other reason I reached out was just because she was in a crisis and I've been in a crisis, so I wanted to help. So, uh, sight unseen, she didn't know who I was, what I looked like, how old I was. She
She never
replies to
asked how old
my,
you were before you guys met up?
no, no. Uh, she just replied to my comment. She was like, I'm on my way. And it was about 2 hours away.
And she came
Uh,
to you.
yeah, she came to me. And so she gets here. We call each other and decide what we're going to do. We decide to go get dinner. Um, I'm walking up to her. And this is like a surreal moment because this person on the internet that I've been watching is right here in front of me. And the first thing she says to me is, uh, "Oh, you're really cute." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then I gave her the hug that she was looking for. And then we went and we sat down. Um, it was a little bit awkward at first. I was kind of like in shock that I was looking at this person across the table. and we were just generally talking. I mean, it felt like a first date situation. You know, you ask like
Just for
simple
like
questions.
small talk, stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Um, at one point, she goes, "You're attracted to me, aren't you?" And I
Mm.
was like, "How could you tell?" And she said, "Because you're flirting with me." And so then that, you know, for me, that opened up like, okay, obviously we're both attracted to each other. So what is this going to look like? Um, and I was just trying to gauge her to see if she was a safe person, which is impossible to do when you've just met someone. But you know, I often cross boundaries and make bad decisions. That's just very normal for me, and I'm trying to change that. But I ended up offering her to come to my house. Um, and so then she came over, and the intention originally was that I was going to pull some cards for her out of this deck that I had because we had discussed spirituality, and
Oh, like
she wanted,
tarot shit.
yeah,
Oh,
she
dark
wanted me to
sided.
read.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
um, and so then I do that, and then she very soon after that asked if she could kiss me, and um, I said yes, and then I just let her uh, sleep at my house because it was really cold outside, and I could tell that she probably wanted to shower and, you know, do laundry and all that kind of stuff. So I was willing to be a safe space for her to just exist for a moment while she got her van together.
Okay. And then how long did she stay with you?
She stayed with me for 4 days. Uh, and I want to say part of the abuse in the whole thing was instant love bombing,
Okay.
like instant love bombing.
When she was there, and obviously, if I ask a question and you're like, I don't want to talk about that, just let me know. No problem at all. Were you working at the time? Did she just like crash at your house while you were at work, or what did that look like?
I was working, so when I went to work, she also left. So I did not have her at my house when no one was here.
Okay.
Uh,
And
and
she was like in
she,
the was she in the van at that time? And so she just kind of went and did like van shit. Okay.
yeah, she was like trying to get her van together and figured out while I was at work.
Okay. So she did that. So she wasn't at the house when you weren't there. She was there for about 4 days.
Mhm.
In your opinion, would you say that it escalated rather quickly? Like obviously you mentioned the love bombing, which is obviously like an escalation of that kind of emotional shit. Would you say that like the other parts of the behavior that were red flags also escalated really quickly, or like was it something that you even noticed or cut up on, or was it just like boom, like in your fucking face, and you were like, holy shit, what's going on?
The yelling was just in my face suddenly. Uh, you know, the love bombing, like you said, that was instant. But the night that she blew up on me, previously she had told me that she was an alcoholic and that she hadn't drank since we met. And that was really cool because, you know, she didn't feel like she needed to drink when she was with. And so then on January 6th, which I want to add, I forgot to add in my video. January 6th was the anniversary of my dad's death, and I made that very obvious to her and that it was a very difficult day for me. So the fact that this all blew up on that day doesn't surprise me because that's how these people operate. But
Sure.
um, yeah, she had told me she was previously an alcoholic, and on January 6th, I noticed that she had brought an alcoholic beverage into my apartment. And that was the thing in your video that I think it was a small detail, but whoever you were collaborating with had said that we bought a 6 pack of beer. I don't know where that detail came from because uh, I didn't want to drink. She just kind of had the
So it
drinks
was
set.
her that had it. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're drinking that. In my head, I was like, okay, this could be bad.
Rigby,
Um,
if you're in chat, fuck you for giving me fake information. Very please.
I don't know where that came from.
He just be
Um,
lying sometimes. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Okay, so the alcohol thing, did she stay there while she was drinking, or was that like kind of an immediate conversation where you were like, "Do you really want to do this?" Or were you just kind of like, "Oh, like you bought it, so you're probably like chill with using it." Like, what did that look like?
um, I guess I'm confused on what you're asking, but basically, I just she went out to her van, and then she came back into my apartment with a drink, and I don't think I said much about it at the time until after she blew up.
Well, sure, and it's like hardly any of your business as well, especially like that early into the relationship. So it'd be kind of weird for you
Yeah,
to be like, "Hey, queen, like, are you sure you want to be doing this?" Like, that'd be kind of fucking weird in general, right?
yeah,
Okay.
right. I didn't know she had told me she was an alcoholic, but she didn't tell me necessarily the extent of it. I didn't know that she got angry when she was drinking. I didn't know what that looked like.
So did she get like fucked up when you guys were hanging out, or was it like kind of like a moderate, just kind of like chill and drink thing?
It started out moderately, like she was just sipping on it, but by the end of it, she was fucked up for
Okay.
sure. She just kept grabbing more.
Okay. And then I'm imagining that that probably did not go well.
No.
Okay.
So if you'd like, I can kind of describe to you what the blow up was like, because I felt like you might not have any information on that specifically.
Yeah, because the only thing that I saw was the bits and pieces of your video about it, and then I saw Lexity's kind of crash out about it. And obviously, like from her perspective, I'm sure that there's like significant embellishments, right? Where it's like it wasn't that big of a deal. And then, arguably from the perspective of somebody who is like on the receiving end of that, it is gonna feel like a big deal. So like kind of meeting somewhere in the middle of that. Like obviously not to say that it isn't a big deal that somebody's behaving like that, but obviously like, if somebody's like just fucking screaming at me right now, I'm gonna be like, holy shit, this is like terrible. But then if I wait a little bit longer and I kind of think about it, I'm like, okay, that sucked. But in the moment, if you would have asked me about it, I would have been like, you might as well just kill me instead of yell at me, even though that's not really where I'm coming from in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the other details that is getting messed up is um so there was this night where she drank and blew up, and then there was a night, I don't remember the exact date, it was like a couple days after or whatever. Um, I called her to check in and I had said something, and that's the night where she's saying I drove her to drink. It's not the night that we're talking about right
Was that after she had left?
now.
Okay. So she came over and drank on the 6th. What was the
Hmm.
anniversary? And she was drinking and she was kind of being a dick. And then she left after that, I assume. And then you guys reconnected after the fact. And when you brought it up and you were like, hey, whatever you said about the incident, that was when she was like, you triggered me. And that's when I was drinking.
Essentially,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. On and I'll elaborate more here in a second. Um, so uh, I had been having panic attacks the whole time that we met, and I was trying to eat a piece of pizza, and I was having a panic attack about it because I couldn't eat, and she knew that, and like I said in my video, she started to feel insecure, so she asked me. She said, "I'm really scared to lose you." And then asked me what my fears were. Um,
Hmm.
and from what I remember, we hadn't been talking about that kind of thing at all. Like we were just having a chill night. Like I was trying to keep it light because I was having a panic attack for
Do you
hours
feel
at
like
that.
she asked that intentionally to upset you? Like, obviously, I'm not asking you to ascribe intent, but from your perspective, do you feel like that was kind of like a prod?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I don't know if it was on her live or what, but I saw her say something like she she craves dopamine so bad sometimes that she just starts fights, and that's what it felt like because the whole night we had gone out grocery shopping and it was a long day. I was overstimulated, and so I was kind of shutting down and not showing her as much attention,
Hmm.
and I could tell that it was bothering her,
Hmm.
and so I felt like this was just a way to get that dopamine that she was looking
Okay.
Of course, I'm assuming that. I'm not saying
Sure.
that.
Um, just purely out of curiosity for my own speculation, did she ever seem like she was doing anything else other than drinking? Did she ever like kind of present as like erratic, kind of like pressured speech, rambling, or her eyes always like kind of okay? Or which do you think like obviously again, not asking you to say like she's doing this, that, and the other thing, but like in your opinion, did
Mhm.
it ever feel like there was more than that going on at the time that she was with you?
Mhm. No, she was very calm and very, yeah, very calm and very soothing. Like the time that we spent together that wasn't the yelling stuff was
Okay.
uh very pleasant, I guess I'll say.
Okay. Okay, so she pieces out. You're she's already kind of set the stage where she's like, I like the conflict because that's kind of how I get my dopamine, quote unquote, gestures vaguely like that can be like a reinforcing thing. Like that push pull can feel really good in like relationships, but obviously it has to be like both sided. You have to both be into it. And it has to be like productive, right? It can't just be like, I'm gonna start a fight because I think your haircut looks fucking stupid today because I feel like it. There has to kind of be like a an even push and pull. It can't just be all pull or all push, right?
Mhm.
So with that in mind, she pieces out, is doing other van shit, I assume, kind of, going on doing whatever. And then you check in on her just to follow up, and she pulls out like how does the conversation about her drinking get brought up, or was that in relation to her asking you what you were scared of? Was that the same conversation?
Those were two different things. So
Okay.
I'll continue to elaborate on
Okay.
the first situation. So yeah, she said she was scared to lose me and then asked me what my fears were. I was having a panic attack. I was not thinking clearly.
Sorry,
And
one more time just for my pea brain. This is when you called to check on her, right?
no.
Okay, sorry.
So this this is the night, this is January 6th where
Okay,
we were
so we're
hanging
still on
out.
the 6th. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I just want to finish that day
No,
and
go ahead.
then
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. That's my bad. I'm trying to follow in my head as well. Okay, so this is still on the
yeah.
6th. She's had a few bevs, just get a little loosey goosey, and then she starts asking you like weird questions like, "Are you scared of losing me?" Where it kind of feels like, "What the fuck are you talking about right now?" Okay, continue.
Yeah. So she asked me what my fears were and I said I fear that we become anxiously attached. That's like, you know, I have trauma related to that. And this is where my memory gets a little bit fuzzy because I was dissociating so heavily. Um, but that was a major trigger for her. And
You dissociating was a trigger for her.
no, me saying that I was afraid we'd become
Ah,
anxious,
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
uh, because she was basically like, you know what? Fuck you because you know what my triggers are. You know that I'm scared to lose people and you should have consoled me in that moment and I was like, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I should have thought about that better. I should have consoled you. Um and that's,
Okay,
I shouldn't have done anything. I did what I could, but
sure.
I was just trying to make the situation better. And so it just continued to escalate where she was screaming, like screaming at the top of her lungs,
Okay.
uh, for a couple hours.
Did she ever
Um,
like posture, like throw stuff, anything like that?
she,
Verbal
uh,
aggression.
yeah, it was a lot of verbal aggression. Like I said, she said "fuck you," very aggressively in my face. She didn't actually spit at me, but she made that gesture as if I meant nothing to her. She told me that she was like, "You know what? You've done nothing for me. I've done so much for you, and you haven't done a damn thing for me."
Girl, it used to be for like a
And I
fucking day. That's crazy. Okay.
I looked at her and I was like, "I've done nothing for you. Look where you're at right now. You're in my home. I've
True.
been taking care of you."
True.
Like, she called me a whore at one point.
Oh my god. I'm not laughing
Um,
like at you, but I'm just kind of like,
no.
what the fuck, right? Like,
Mm.
okay.
She and so what was happening was she would scream and scream, and then I would apologize, and then she'd calm down. And then she'd start screaming again. I'd apologize. She'd calm down. Meanwhile, in the middle of her being upset, she left my apartment a couple times, went out to her van and filmed a couple reels about
Oh, geez.
attachment and how you should be codependent on your partner.
That's certainly a take. Okay.
And then she came back in. And this is the worst one for me, which I described in one of my YouTube videos, but I was cowering on the floor. I was in a fetal position and I was visibly shaking because I was so scared. And I I looked up at her desperately and said, "Can you please stop screaming at me? I really need you to stop screaming at me right now." And she switched from the yelling, aggressive, screaming voice, and she was like, "Oh, if I talk to you like you're a little baby, is that going to be better? Can you understand me if I talk to you like this? Is this okay?" Uh, and I felt like a piece of shit, like, you know.
Yeah, that's. I, I mean, yeah. Obviously, I'll let you continue on, kind of narrating this, and then obviously, I imagine that when you've kind of reached your natural endpoint, we can kind of like yap collaboratively after the fact because I don't want to interrupt your train of thought as you're kind of like laying out, your
Okay.
magnum opus here. So
Okay. Uh,
you guys have like this essentially like a crazy one sided fight, right? Where like you're not like the way that you're describing it to me, and obviously it was you, her, God in the four walls. So obviously I don't know, but the way that you're describing it, very one sided, right? Like she's pissed about like God knows what, and you're like, holy shit, dude, like what is fucking happening right now? Like please stop. So I imagine that at some point she fucks off and does something else, whether she gets like bored or it just kind of naturally resolves itself, or I don't know if she's drinking, maybe she falls asleep, whatever that the natural end of that will be. And then shortly after that, obviously, I imagine she didn't come back, or at the very least, you like disinvited her to return to your house. What was that like? What was that like process there?
so I don't remember exactly how it ended, like what was said. I do remember when she finally left for the last time, she was really stumbling around. She was wearing these tall ass platform boots and just like stumbling and knocked over my shit, and it came crashing down, and then she slammed the door and then she left my apartment.
Okay,
And oh, I'm getting a call. Okay. Um, I I'd finally locked the door at that point. Like I don't know why I didn't the other two times she left. I was just kind of paralyzed in fear on my bed.
sure.
But I locked the door. I don't remember what was said between us, but it felt like, you know, okay, that's it. Um, and then yeah, and then I thought surely my roommate was gonna come save me at some point because of how loud she was screaming. My ears were fucking ringing.
Was
And
your roommate
I
home when this
peeked,
happened?
yeah, I peeked into his bedroom and he was just fast asleep. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna bug him. I need someone right now, but there is nobody, so I'm gonna be there for myself. So
Did
yeah, I
your
sat on my bed.
sidebar? Did your roommate say anything to you after the fact about any of this, or was he just kind of like, that was crazy?
We've talked
Okay,
about it. We have an interesting relationship where we don't talk a ton, but like, I don't know, we're close.
okay,
So
just
he's
curious. Okay.
for me.
Okay, so
So,
she eventually leaves. You lock the door. She's gonzo for a little bit.
mhm.
The so obviously between her leaving, there's like a check in, and then she's like, "Oh my god, you're making me get fucked up right now." What's in between that?
So yeah, it was like a day or so, I don't know. And I filmed the video, the original video of me, because I had been doing a video diary of myself, kind of prepping to do YouTube videos of just talking about my mental health. And I wanted to see what I looked like on camera and how that was. So I filmed a video of myself talking about the situation, and I think it was the next day. And that's when I reached out to her, and you saw the screenshot of her giving me consent to post it.
Okay,
Um, and
so
then
this was the day after the crash out is when you checked in with her, like the day after all this happened.
I think the the day I filmed the video was the day after, and then maybe the day after that is when I called her to check in because I was we were we were kind of on good terms. Like she had apologized to me and she had also spoken about it publicly. So at that point, I was willing to at least forgive her
Okay.
for what had happened.
Okay, so technically this happened on the 6th, and obviously I imagine if she's, being a little white girl wasted, like that, it would probably bleed over into like a time change from AM to PM or whatever. Like that aside, so like the 6th was the big drinking blowout. The 7th is when you recorded the video, and then the 8th, roughly give or take, with like midnight time zones, whatever. Roughly the 8th is when you called to check in, and then she had her like, you're making me drink. When you called her and you were checking in, I assume you called. You called.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Or I don't remember. I don't remember who called who.
Okay. Either way, you guys are somehow on a call. Somebody called who first or whatever, and so you're like, "Hey, like, how are you? Like, are you good?" Like, just kind of checking in. Um, and that is where like this being triggered at a drinking comes from. What did she say was the trigger for the drinking? Was it you checking in? Was it you call? Like, what was the trigger specifically?
So the trigger, okay, now I'm remembering. So I called her to ask about advice on the video. And then I was like, okay, also I'm going to check in with you. How are you doing? She was sort of very angry about her phone not working and was, the whole time we were together, she kept saying that she was cursed because all this bad stuff keeps happening to her. And she was reiterating that I'm just cursed, nothing ever goes right. And I was like, hey, listen, I have a lot of stuff going on in my life too. We're not cursed. This is just life. You have to
Sure.
deal with it. And then she had told me that she wasn't drinking, and she said that she wasn't drinking for me. She wanted to stop drinking for me.
Mm,
And that scared me uh, because of
yeah.
what had happened, and I didn't want to lead her on and feel like if you stop drinking, then we can be in a relationship again. So
Certainly.
I was like, and also for anybody that is asking me for advice or I'm trying to help with mental health stuff or whatever, I'm always advocating for doing things for yourself and self-love because that's
Oh
the
yeah, of
only thing that's
course.
gotten me through shit.
Sure.
Uh,
And
I've
you set
had so
yourself
many
up for
partners.
failure if you put your sobriety and your well-being in the hands of other people, because
Yeah,
people are valuable. That's like one of
yeah.
the first things that anybody who has ever gotten sober in their entire fucking life will tell you, is that you don't hinge your recovery on other people. Certainly, yeah.
hmm
Immediately a bad
So
idea.
the phrase that triggered her was when she told me she was not drinking for me. I said, I think you should stop drinking for you.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Period.
Okay.
That's what caused that crash out.
Okay. Okay. And then so between these two things, so she has her little crash out and she's like, "You're driving me to drink, blah, blah, blah." Did you indulge in that conversation? Did you appease that? Or were you like, "Nah, fuck this, I'm out"? Or obviously something in between. Obviously life is all gray. But like, what was that thought process for you when she was like, "No, fuck you. Like, I can't believe you. I can't believe you're doing this to me." Were you just like, "Nah, dude, actually, like, this is fucking crazy. Like, I'm not doing this"? Or did you, tell me a little bit about that?
Let me see. Can I just take a second to pull up some screenshots
Yeah,
that
of
I can
course.
read from?
Absolutely. Take your
Um,
time.
because on the Reddit I posted, let's see, how can I do this? Can I do
I can
that? Oh yeah.
also, if you are able to, I'm not, because I assume you're talking to me on your phone and you just have it propped up. If you can get into your Reddit, if there's anything that you want to forward to me, in Discord DMs, I can put it on stream as well. If you want me to read something off of that, if that's easier, whatever is easier for you.
Okay. I don't quite know how to navigate this
That's
on
okay.
my computer.
Whatever is easiest for you to navigate. I know that Discord is kind of difficult if you don't know how to use it.
Let's see here. Okay. Um, Oh my gosh, that's everything. Hold on. This is so messy. I have so many screenshots.
Oh, you're fine. No worries. Take your time. I've got nowhere to be. Well, maybe the
Oh,
bathroom in a little bit, but other than that, nowhere else. And maybe to get my
okay,
vape
if
in a
I turn
second.
myself this way, am I sideways?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
it's
not laughing at you, but it just looks like silly with you. Like, it looks like you're poking out of my document. It's kind of funny.
okay, so the screenshot, I have a bunch of audio calls. She kept calling me and then hanging up. And I had messaged her, I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying again, because she does that thing where she pulls something you say out of context and twists it, does her little mental gymnastics, so it's something that triggers her.
Mhm.
Uh, she said, you don't want me to not drink because of what happened. Cool. Literally just made me want to drink, which I already did. I said I'm not
Mm.
drinking because of you, and you said, I mean, you can do whatever you want. In no universe is that encouraging. I don't feel like you care about my sobriety at all. You literally just told me you don't care about my sobriety.
Okay.
I said, no, I just don't want you to feel as if I have control over what you do. I want you to be sober for yourself, not for me. I want you to be sober for yourself first. She said, cool, I can't constantly get pushed away. It's deeply triggering. I said, okay, that was not my intention when I said that. She said, you are pathologically afraid of interdependence. It is okay to improve yourself because of the way you hurt someone. I said, yes, I agree with that. She said, it is okay. It is not okay for you to treat me this way. If you care about keeping me around, this is deeply triggering, and you seem to refuse to understand that. And then she called me again. I don't remember what was said on that call. And then I messaged, I clearly do not understand how to communicate with you effectively. I don't want to keep hurting you like that. I clearly don't have a very good understanding of what is triggering to someone who is struggling with addiction, and I have failed twice now. I understand why saying do whatever you want was the wrong thing. I'm so sorry. I had completely different intentions behind it, but I get that it was misconstrued. You are very tender and I'm making all the wrong moves. Trying to help, I'm literally doing the complete opposite. She said, you need me or stay away and be okay with me needing you. If you push me away, I will blow up. I know myself. Like you actively push me away constantly, even when it costs you nothing. Uh, I can't make you fall in love if you refuse to let yourself need someone. That is what I want, and if you don't, stay away. Like it can take time, but that is the goal. And I said, I understand. She said, do you want that with anyone ever or not? Because if you don't want that ever with anyone, stay away from me. I need a life partner, like a person I share every aspect of my life with. If you don't want that, I can't make this work outside of only friends, and I'd really like to know. I said, I do, but I don't think I'm capable of that at this point. I have no idea how to navigate that, and it's not fair to you. And here I'm just, what do they call that? Um, where you're kind of like appeasing the person.
Sure. Like, just kind of, you want to be done with it. So you're just kind of like, whatever. Like, yeah, totally. Woe is you. That sucks. Anyway, I gotta go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. This is irrelevant. She said, I'm sorry this relationship was too much work for you. I said, I'm just not in a stage of my life where I can handle it yet. I'm still learning. I'm sorry it took all this to figure that out. She said, you should be so much sorrier. Uh, she said, I'm sorry I'm worth so little to you that you mess up and immediately give up. Like you didn't even try to make amends. I said, that's not true. I mess up and realize I'm not capable of this. I set boundaries to refrain from hurting you further because I care about you. If I was asking for something you were not capable of providing, I'd hope you do the same. And that was that conversation.
Okay. And then following that, obviously you made your video, and then she had her little crash out, which is contradictory because, to my understanding, she was like, "No, yeah, like speak your truth, queen, like slay, slay, slay." And then
Mhm.
after you did that, she was like, "Why the fuck did you do that?" Even though she was literally like, "If you feel like you need to do this or whatever." Um, Okay. Uh,
So with that, uh, I posted my video, and then I had posted on my story, uh, sort of like, because she had gone on live and told people that I drove her to drink.
mm,
I I was upset about that, so I posted on my story kind of like angry. I think you saw that video of me in the red and white striped shirt. I'm in my bathroom doing my hair.
mm,
Um, and so she sent me some voice memos or something, and she was like, "Why are you sending people after me? Like, what did you say? Why are people being so mean to me?" And I said, "Here's what happened. Like, here's you saw the video I posted. Go watch my story. That's everything I've said on it." And she asked me again, or she said, "You sent people after me." And I said, "These are the consequences of your actions. I don't know what to say. I did not tell people, 'Hey, go attack this person.' I presented the information because it was public, and they are responding to that information. I am not purposefully sending people after you."
sure. Okay. And then that's been kind of like baseline ever since has been, just kind of navigating the fallout from that kind of situation, like public this, public that, right?
Hmm.
Okay. 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 So, in looking at this, like all of this, like in totality, um, and obviously something that I had said to you that kind of makes this difficult for people to do coverage of in general is that there's not like a comprehensive lore dump. Like usually if people are going to be going over certain content about certain people, there's usually like consolidated information everywhere. And part of the reason that I'm very acutely aware there isn't that for this specifically is just because it's like this like just happened, right? Like this is within like the last month. So it's kind of like a new thing. Um
Yeah.
so it's pretty fresh, obviously. In hindsight, in looking back at this, and like again, like please take everything that I say with a grain of salt because I understand that sometimes I say things. Sometimes I have like chronic foot and mouth syndrome. You see in hindsight how like literally all of this was like fucking batshit insane, and none of it was anything that had to do with you, right? Like in hindsight, you can look at that and see that, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I've had to come to terms with that. And also taking accountability on my part for just trusting a random internet person that I saw red flags in and chose to ignore. Like I understand my part in it, but I also understand that I did not deserve any of that. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. What do you think is like? What do you think is like useful for you at this juncture or like just in general because like usually when and obviously like if you indulge in commentary YouTube like the nature of hit pieces it's usually for the tool of public accountability. Typically it's used to like roast the fuck out of people and then oftentimes it's like just like a slander crusade for no good reason but like the general goal is like collective accountability and then like warning people like hey this person's on some fuck shit like you don't want to be around that. Would you consider
Mhm.
that to kind of be like the ideal outcome that this stuff is like out in the open? Like if that information was available to you when you were considering meeting this person, you would be like, oh shit, like I don't want anything to do with that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want this to happen again because she changed her username and is blocking comments and people that disagree with her in any way. So she's sort of creating an echo chamber
Hmm.
of only people that support her. And I'm just really scared that someone similar to me is going to get wrapped up in this again because they have no idea what's going on. So I wanted it to be covered in a way that made the information easier to process because like it's a lot and you really have to take some time to sift through it all and understand it. So if it was in one cohesive video, one cohesive timeline that also wasn't just uh making her into a lol cow because obviously she just needs help, uh, then maybe it would be helpful in some way. I just feel that visibility would be helpful.
Sure, and I mean that's obviously something that is like difficult with a lot of this stuff, and I mean for all the time that I spend talking about like crazy people on the internet, like one of the biggest things is that if you like the exposure of it is really important, right? Where like if you say, "Hey, this person's like fucking crazy," like do not hang out with them, do not hit them up, like they're like on another level. Um that only hits if it's digestible to the audiences or the people that are going to be like ensnared by that. So when I say that, what I mean is hypothetically, let's say that tomorrow I make a hit piece, and let's say that it's perfect. Cover to cover, it covers everything completely accurately. Like everything, is documented appropriately. Like there's no questions about the veracity of any of the information that I'm presenting. If it's coming from me, the people that are going to need to see that are not going to watch the video because it's coming from me. And I'm not stupid. Like I know that, right? And obviously, in the way that I present the information, that can also be off-putting for people. And that's half of the issue is that the people that are like that need to be swayed by this kind of information, they're highly selecting for where the information is coming from. So one of the bigger things that I've always ran into as well is like hypothetically, let's say it isn't me. Let's like spin the wheel. Let's say that Denki Jabo is the one that does it. Okay, Denki Jabo is cis, and he's attacking a trans woman. Boom, out the window. Like there isn't really a good way to go about it because unfortunately the reality is that people that are going to fall into that, pit trap, those are people that they have their blinders up anyway for any kind of criticism against people that they already like. So at least in my experience, when I think about some of the stuff that I've covered, even if given the perfect information in a beautiful box, no problem free, just given to them and they look at it, you're already highly selecting for people that are just going to be hand wave it anyway. And that's the thing that's like incredibly frustrating. So obviously, I think that I can tell in like talking to you and hearing you talk about it that this is something that's important to you. As far as like this like really fucking sucked for me. And obviously, I was lucky because I had like this little gap where I was able to like wiggle out and not really have to deal with a long-term relationship with this person because that would have been fucking terrible, right? But I would encourage you to curb your enthusiasm is the wrong term, but that's like what my brain wants to say because like there is tact and there is utility and there is virtue and there is a good thing to be done in talking about this kind of stuff. But the idea that if a big enough net is cast that every single stray is going to be caught and kept safe is certainly not the case. And so I would just encourage you to like be mindful of that moving forward because obviously it's very disheartening, especially if you were somebody who has personally been in that situation where you have that like gut pull where you're like, I have to stop other people from doing this. And I think that's a good thing to do, a good thing to work towards. But just being mindful that like in your crusades with this, there's never going to be the perfect person to share this. There's never going to be a perfect person to platform this. And there's never going to be, the perfect presentation of the information that's going to save everybody. There are going to be people that get caught regardless. And just, to be mindful of that, just moving
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, I appreciate that. But you know, I want to save everyone, but it's not possible. But I just want to do my diligence and what I have space for. So
Certainly, and that's all anybody can ever ask. And I mean, I think it says enough that you're willing to like I assume that she's probably like not a very nice person anyway, just in general. And kind of like, inadvertently like putting a big red target like right on your back, right? Because it's like, oh my god, look at what you're doing to me, blah blah blah. I think that
oh,
speaks to that where it's like that it's something that you care enough to like say something about, even though it might come at expense to you,
mhm. Yeah.
Was there anything else that you think was pertinent? And then do you have a timeline at all for how long you're able to indulge in yap time?
I don't have a timeline necessarily. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have like anything else planned out as far as things that I wanted to speak on.
Okay.
Uh, but I wanted to, if there were like pieces that you were confused about, I could clarify that just because I have been following along this whole time.
The timeline makes sense to me, at least the way that I've put it together in my head. And then going over everything with Rigby at the very least. Obviously, I understand that, like, detail oriented presentation was kind of like I'm like going through the Reddit and trying to learn as much as I could with as little information that was available to me. So I understand like small like the thing where it was like she brought the booze. It wasn't something that you guys got together, like void of anything like that where it's just like a minor like little thing. The timeline makes sense to me, at least. I'm gonna get in my YouTube chat really quick and I'm gonna pop out and see if anybody has any particular questions for you.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
if that's something you're okay with. And then obviously if you don't want to
Yeah.
answer anything, you can just say, "Hey, fuck off."
Okay.
Pop this out. Okay.
And are you aware of the timeline of what happened with Marcy? Like that happened 2 days after the blow up with me.
I think the consolidation of all of this is like fucking insane as well. Um,
Yeah.
uh, the other thing that I wanted to ask about, are you familiar at all with the car theft in Oregon? Do you know anything about that?
The car theft.
Yes. So it has been revealed to me in a dream. Just kidding. There is an active charge for car theft in Oregon. The last time that I looked, it's believed that it was the car before she bought the van that was stolen.
Oh, okay. I thought okay. Hmm.
I would assume that you don't know anything about it in that case, but I was just curious.
I just know that when she bought the van, she had posted a reel saying like if anyone wants to come get this car. And so essentially it was dumped and then the person who picked it up, couldn't have uh a clean title or whatever because she didn't have a clean title. I don't know. I don't know how that started, but
Okay, just curious. PB is asking, has she tried to talk to you since all of this?
no, not at all.
Yeah.
I reached out to her actually because I have some of her belongings and I want to get rid of them, but I didn't want there to be like anything she could use against me. So I tried to reach out just the other day to ask her what she wants me to do with her stuff, and she did not respond.
Goodwill is your best friend right now.
Yep.
Ren is asking, you got self-care?
Yeah,
Based?
I
Okay.
have a lot of self-care.
Your favorite self-care activity? Other than, obviously, binge drinking. Just kidding.
um, Probably meditation, or I'll just like put on my favorite music and take a shower and just kind of be mindful in
Hmm.
the moment.
Based. Werewolf Hour says, what have you done to protect yourself? I assume that means, like, just in general. Considering, like, for me personally, hypothetically, if I had somebody come over to my house and they acted like that, I would be like, holy shit, I have to, like, fucking move right now. Just for me personally. I'm guessing that's kind of like a broad question, but answer in a way that sparks joy for you.
Um, I don't know what to do to protect myself, to be honest.
Okay, that's fair. Fair. Something to think about, certainly.
Yeah.
Werewolf Hours also asked, did Lexity do any damage to your home? Did she hit you? Also, just donate her stuff and tell her that's what you did.
Yeah. No, like I said, she had knocked over some stuff, but nothing was broken and she never put her hands on me.
Wonderful. And then Nosegay Olfactory, excuse me. Were you aware of Lexity as a spicy content creator with an interest in BDSM? I thought there was extremely disturbing detail in a follow-up about a physical encounter. I don't know what that's alluding to, but again, feel free to answer as sparks joy to you.
No, I didn't know anything about her and I didn't know she was a sex worker, uh, until she had told me in person.
Okay.
And that aspect of it doesn't bother me. necessarily. Yeah.
Guys, if you have any more questions, Mamacitas, feel free to throw them in there before we rippity wrap up. In general, was there like thinking about like kind of how we opened the conversation and we were kind of talking about like, presentation optics, like in general, do you, and this is just me like stroking my own ego briefly, do you feel like this was like a little bit better of a conversation than you thought it was going to be? Because I know that like I'm kind of like a fucking dick sometimes. Like, does this feels like, all right, I'm not like being like a huge asshole to you, just like vibe checking?
Yeah,
Base.
I felt really good about the conversation.
Hey, base.
And
Base
I
for
was nervous to come on, and I didn't want you to feel like I was attacking you or trying to come on here and take over and say you fucked up. I
Oh,
just wanted to convey it in a way that was genuine and from my heart. And then, you know, getting to know you a little bit better was helpful because, like I said, I don't know what your content is like. I haven't watched any of your other videos, so yeah, the context provided helps as
sure, sure. And I mean, maybe my beef is with everybody who thought that I was like gay Perez Hilton
well.
in the subreddit. And I have my own beef with the kind of snark subreddit culture. I think it's really holier than thou and it makes me disgustingly ill. But that obviously you are not responsible for the conduct of all of the subreddit. So obviously I know that's like my totally separate beef. So I will not hold you account for the actions of others. Yumi asked, were there other topics or opinions Lexity would talk to you about that you found concerning or made you raise your eyebrow? Like, I guess just, like, did she say like crazy shit? Like, I don't know, like, I think that dogs can consent or like weird shit like that. That's what I might do for that.
Um, no. She had filmed a reel in my room about how everyone has uh what was it? Not good intentions. I think that was a different video. Um, now I can't remember exactly. She had filmed a reel in my room that made me raise an eyebrow, but I thought she was just doing it for
Like rage bait.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
hmm
Travis is
Oh,
one
oh,
oh sorry, go
wait.
ahead.
I could add some things to that. So she had said multiple times that she wants her partner to uh rely on her in every way possible, like financially and emotionally. Uh, she had said that she thinks when you have a partner, if that partner dies, then you would want to die soon after too. Like you should be that attached. You shouldn't be able to exist without your partner. And that was so scary to me because I've worked so hard to be codependent. I was very terribly codependent on my partners. So I've worked really hard to be independent. And so when she was saying stuff like that, that did scare me because I
Yeah,
think
that's
my
scary
brain
shit.
started to realize at that point it was a controlling.
I mean, like, I guess, like, realistically, you could make that argument if you've been married for like 80 fucking years. It's like, well,
Mhm.
when my wife from the Civil War dies, like, I don't know, maybe it's time for me to pass into the great beyond. But girl, it's been like 2 days. Like, let's relax a little bit. Travis asks, what got you into Lexity's community? Are you still involved with anyone in that space?
uh, I wasn't really involved with the community specifically until all of this blew up, and then a lot of people um, reached out to me in support of me, and they stopped following her. So I am still in contact with a lot of those people, and honestly, don't know what I would have done without them uh, supporting me because this has been really weird and I was very unprepared for it. So I now have a very small niche community of like mostly queer people, which is cool to me. That's like
Those guys are the worst. Just kidding.
those are my people. So
Unfortunately, they're mine too, by force. Bruce Bonkers asks, one, what is your favorite kind of soup? Two, have you changed the lock since she left? And that would be a good place to start. Bruce Bonkers continues to say.
okay. My favorite kind of soup, probably clam chowder.
Ah, fuck yeah, I was
That's a soup.
manifesting that. I was like, don't say anything other than clam chowder or I'm hanging up face. Okay.
No, I have not changed the locks. She doesn't have a key though, so is that like I don't know anything about anything, you guys.
Well, for starters, obviously this is probably individually, contextually relevant. Get like a fucking weapon for your house. That's what I would say. If you're not at risk, I would encourage everybody to get a fucking gun. If you're not at risk to own one, I would 100% say that because those come in real handy. If not that, at least you could do like a baseball bat. If you're gonna have a baseball bat in your house for home defense, put a sock on it because if you try to hit me with a baseball bat and I grab the baseball bat, you're fucked. If there's a sock on it, if you pull it away from me, the sock comes off and I'm like, oh shit, and then you can hit me again with it. Um, Air tags, I would put air tags in like all your shit personally. Like keep one on your phone when you have your phone with you, so that way if something goes fucking crazy, and then always just make sure that somebody knows where you are. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna be home tonight at like 10 o'clock. If I'm not home or I don't text you by like 10:30, I need you to ping my air tag and come and find me. I'm just like
God.
general things like that.
Okay, that's a good one.
Just
I
generally, just generally.
I haven't my brain hasn't even gone there, so
Well, it's something to think about. Like, obviously, don't live your life in like paralyzed fear that
yeah.
somebody's gonna like come in the middle of the night and like fucking grab you because it's almost never gonna happen. But at least in my experience, the idea of kind of like group mentality is like a huge deterrent for people like this. So like realistically, if you're ever in a long term relationship with somebody like this, and it sounds like you've had your own experiences with those kinds of relationships, the first thing that they do is they cut you off from people who are going to be actively invested in your well being. And those are the people that are going to go out of their way to make sure that you're okay. So realistically, hypothetically, you meet somebody on Tinder, you're like, I'm going to go, hook up with this person or whatever. First time I'm meeting them, the first thing that you should do is be like, hey, I'm going to meet this person at this time, at this date. Here's their phone number. Here's my phone number. I'm going to be home at 11 o'clock. If you call me, at 11:30 and I don't answer, like you need to come and get me. That's generally
Yeah.
like a good rule of thumb. And then obviously, like again, don't live your life in fear. Like, but that herd mentality of like, if for whatever reason you guys are to talk again, and she's like, hey, can you like come into my van and talk to me or whatever the fuck? I'd be like, hey, I texted like 10 of my friends and they know that I'm done talking to you in 1 hour, and if I don't call them back, they're coming to get me. Just so you know, that can serve as like a pretty big deterrent for people like that because they rely on you being isolated in order to like take advantage of that. Just
Okay.
my 2 cents.
Yeah, I do that often when I'm meeting people. I definitely let people know, so yeah.
Excellent Malcolm advice. Another segment for the day. Okay. Werewolf Hour said, just wanted to put up and tell Marcella I'm proud of her for speaking up. Thank you, Werewolf Hours. I'm sure Marcella is super stoked to be here. Probably not stoked is probably the wrong word, but either way.
So
Um,
stoked. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys for all your support. Oh my God, it's been so awesome to see that.
and everybody's behaving in chat. Nobody's even said like one slur. This is incredible. This is a new record for my stream. And then Travis asked, did she try to involve you in BDSM in any of your activities while pushing boundaries?
No, like I myself am interested in that stuff, so it wouldn't have been crossing a boundary. And I can't say this for the other victims because there were other things that were, you know, alleged. But with me specifically, she was very um, mindful of consent and my boundaries.
Fair enough. Okay. Was there anything else that you think will spark joy for you in this moment?
No, I don't know.
That is quite all right. No problem at all. I appreciate you being willing to chat. Obviously, and again, my beef is with the subreddit as always. Fuck anybody who uses Reddit. You're okay. You get the pass.
Well, okay. I guess I'm curious. What about that? What about that subreddit specifically is?
It's not
wrong.
that subreddit specifically. It's the culture of snark subreddits. And obviously, a lot
Yeah.
of people have contention with the idea of even categorizing it as a snark Reddit. But there's generally like there's a couple of other individuals who have had these Reddits. Off the top of my head, Lily Tino, Amberlyn had one. There's a lot of people that like would be categorized colloquially as lolcows that have like these kind of subreddits where they're like gossip forums. But there's just like
Mhm.
this disgusting air of moral superiority where anybody who commentates in a way that is not something that they find acceptable, that person is immediately Hitler. And there's just like this attitude where it's like because we moderate for transphobia, we are better than anybody else who is going into any of this. When it's like I'm just gonna say it. I've seen in the subreddit people actively doxing her location in real time. It's like it is Kiwi Farms without the transphobia. That's all it fucking is. And I don't like the holier than thou attitude where it's like we're better than you because we don't talk about it in the way that you talk about it. I've never fucking doxed anybody. So that attitude I find to be incredibly fucking irritating and annoying because I'm sorry that like I might have like a tongue in cheek way of talking about things, but I've never fucking doxed anybody. And I've never mind, followed them around the fucking country with the corkboard and red string. I think that attitude is just really, really disgusting. That, like, I don't know, it's a personal ick of mine, but obviously,
Yeah.
you're not responsible for everybody in the subreddit, but
hmm I've been very careful on what I've interacted with and what I've said on there. And I saw, I think it was the person who was posting her location. They were defending it and saying that they're doing it for the victims. And while I would like to know if she's in my area, I also think about how, um, she is trans, and
certainly.
there are a lot of people in the country right now that don't, you know, I don't even have to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
So
It's just one of
her,
those things where I think for your perspective, like I completely understand where you would be like, it would kind of be cool to have a heads up if she's around me, but I would consider that to be like irresponsible to post that publicly. Like if there was
yeah, yeah,
somebody who was going around like logging her, which I mean, let's be real, that's like what everybody does on the fucking internet anyway, void of like sensitive personal information. So they could easily just be like, hey, DM, Marcella and be like, hey, just so you know, like she's in this area or whatever. It doesn't have to be posted publicly. And so, you know,
yeah.
the people that are covering this, and obviously if it breaches containment and it goes to other drama streamers, that's totally out of everybody's control. But to pretend that all these people are better than drama streamers because they gender Lexity correctly, even though they're arguably doing, the exact same thing that the other sites that they dislike are doing, is I don't like it. It's a very self-righteous attitude that irritates me.
Yeah, and picking apart every little thing that she does and says, like pointing out the fact that she makes whips. Is that really relevant to the conversation? I don't think so. Like I just want to talk about the important stuff, but this is the internet, like whatever. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, you have like a productive attitude about it, which is like very alien to me because like obviously I'm jaded, and that's the kind of content that I like to consume is kind of the like, oh my god, I can't believe that she mispronounced this word, that's so gay, you guys. Like obviously that's like the kind of stuff that I think is funny. So like your perspective is obviously motivated in my opinion, and obviously if it comes out that you're like a huge asshole, I'll have to eat my underwear live on stream. But like the general sentiment of where it's like I would like to keep this productive, I think is separate from the idea that a lot of like gossip discords and like gossip subreddits act. But I mean, that's my perspective. That's kind of why I like commentary. That's why I like to do commentary because it's entertaining for me. But I understand entirely like that's your perspective where it's like, no, like it's kind of dumb that you guys are, commenting on this, that, and the other thing when it's like there's actually issues here that we should be addressing. But as you said, such is the nature of the internet. So obviously I see both sides of it, but I don't like being painted as somebody who's like an asshole when it's like all these bitches are doing the exact same fucking thing as me, but they just do it in a nicer tone. It's like I don't like that. I think that's stupid.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there isn't anything else that feels like it's going to spark joy for you, I can let you go about your evening. And then obviously, if Marcy wants to talk at a later time, that's completely okay. I assume that she will probably talk to you after, I would assume. So either way, doesn't matter to me. And then obviously, if anything else comes up and you want to chat again for any reason or whatever, just let me know. It is no problem at all.
Awesome. Thank you for allowing me to do this. I appreciate you.
Always. It's what I'm here for. Uh, Have a wonderful rest of your evening, Gossip Girl. And then, like I said, if you anything comes up, just holler, and I'm always going to chat again if you would like. If anything else comes up,
Awesome. Thank you.
mashallah, adios.
Bye.
I had on my good noodle hat, you guys. Did you like that? I was so well behaved. I was so well behaved. Did you guys love? Platinum 9001 in Twitch chat. We don't do any doxing around here. I think it's important for places to exist for victims to come forth. I agree. I don't disagree with you, but I don't like the holier than thou attitude. Like in reading the post about me earlier in my YouTube video, it's like, oh my god, what a mean little bitch. He just wants to talk shit, and it's just like silly, goofy drama, and it's like, what are you guys doing right fucking now? Look in the mirror. You guys are doing the exact same fucking thing, but you don't like it because of my cadence or my tone or the way that I talk about it. And you guys are doing the same fucking thing. It's like, get out of my face. All right, she's gone. Everybody, go gadget slurs. I'm just kidding. JK, guys, love you. So I wanted to talk about this just because when we were talking to Marcella yesterday, obviously we were kind of in the middle of talking with her about the whole Lexity thing, so I didn't really want to interrupt her narration or retelling of events or anything to give my commentary in the moment, because obviously that felt vastly inappropriate at the time. So I wanted to jump over to this because yesterday we were talking, and obviously I wrote down all the stuff that we talked about because I want to give commentary on this just for you guys who might not recognize all of the red flags in this kind of behavior. So, for starters, the first thing that I want to say is that, like, people on the internet, and I mean this so sincerely, like random people on the internet, especially content creators, those people are not your friends, okay? Those people probably don't even know that you exist, to be honest with you. So, if there's ever an opportunity to meet up with somebody that you watch on YouTube or something like that, or on TikTok or on Twitch or whatever, uh, just do it at like a meetup, right? Don't do it like off in the side areas. That's a not a great choice, okay? Especially if somebody's online and there are people who are kind of groveling for attention, groveling for validity, groveling for affection. Like, I just really need a hug right now, guys. I really need somebody to come and give me like a hug and a little kiss on the lips because I'm so sad and so upset. You know what I mean? So this is the first thing, okay? So anybody who is, somebody who's a content creator online who's fishing for relationships from their chats, that's a problem. Okay? That's something that's a big red flag. Why can you not get this attention from people interpersonally in your life? That's the first red flag that we're going to look at here. The second is that Lexity never asked this girl's age before they met up. That's a big red flag. If for whatever reason, I can use Roxy as an example. She's not here, so I can talk poorly of her. Just kidding. But Roxy went to Base Canyon with me. I knew how old she was. If she was like 16 years old, I would have been like, block, we're done doing this, But there's like due diligence on your end as somebody who is meeting somebody else to kind of verify that it's appropriate for you guys to interact, right? So the fact that she was like, I need a hug, she knows that there are teenagers in her audience, and somebody in her audience was like, I'll give you a hug, and she wasn't like, hey, how old are you, just before we decide to do this or whatever. That's really not good. That is also not good, okay? So if you're planning on meeting up with people that you meet online, just make sure that it's like an appropriate interaction. Okay, make sure that the person that you're meeting isn't like 30 years your senior. Obviously, if you're being catfished, you can't prevent this, but like make sure that you're not meeting like the crypt keeper. Okay, make sure you're not meeting an axe murderer, and then making sure that you're meeting somebody who is like is an appropriate age interaction. Is pretty much what I'm saying there. So also, don't invite fucking strangers to come and stay with you, you guys. And this is something that I personally don't understand this. So I apologize if I sound a bit jaded when I say this. The most intimate thing that you can do with strangers is invite them into your home. Your home is where you live, where you sleep, where you eat, where all your personal information is kept. Your precious items, your money, your confidential information, all that stuff is at your house. So you shouldn't have just random fucking people that you just met at your house ever. That's fucking weird. That's like a you build rapport with somebody beforehand. If you're like going to hook up with people or shit like that, always go to like a hotel, meet somewhere publicly, like that kind of shit. Don't just don't just have random people come over to your house. And especially don't ask them to stay the night. If you don't know somebody and they're staying the night with you, that's crazy, dude. There's a reason why when you adopt like new animals, if you adopt new animals, there's a reason they don't really sleep well the first couple of nights that you have them is because they don't trust you. Okay? It is a very trusting thing to be unconscious in the most vulnerable state you could possibly be in around a fucking stranger. That's scary. Don't do that, okay? Um the instant love bombing obviously is, a big thing. Obviously, I mean, in hindsight, for most people, you can look back hindsight and say that's pretty fucked up. But if you meet somebody and they're like, "Oh my god, I've never met anyone like you. I love you so much. I'm so in love with you. Wow, I don't think I'll ever be the same without you." Be hesitant of that. That's not always bad. I would say that's like a yellow flag, right? Okay. So this part is where Marcella had said that it was the anniversary of her dad's death. So she was kind of having a rough go, okay? Kind of having a rough day, all right? Kind of wanted a little bit of extra care and tact and mindfulness and what have you. And Lexity decided to drink that day, even though she said that she has issues with alcohol or whatever. You're never responsible for somebody else's sobriety. I wouldn't even get into that fucking fight with somebody. I'd say if you want to be, if you're in recovery and you want to drink, that's your fucking choice, but you're not doing it around me. If you're, however many months clean, sober, whatever it is, if you want to re-engage or re-indulge with that substance, go fucking crazy, not on my watch. I'm not going to be held liable or responsible for that in any means. You're an adult. You can make your own fucking choices. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, but I will not participate in your potential self-destruction. That's a good boundary to have if you guys have people that struggle with substance abuse or dependency or anything like that. You can't control other people's sobriety, but you can control your participation in their overindulgence in substances. So having a conversation and then like the triggering thing or the onslaught of this was saying that Marcella was afraid of having an anxious attachment relationship style. This pop psychology shit, I don't like, but obviously if people describe their experiences that way, I'm not God, I can't change that. But I mean this wholeheartedly, and I say this every time we talk about this kind of shit. If somebody is willing to break shit in your presence, posture in your fucking face, get in your face and fucking scream at you and shit like that, that person will hit you. They will, okay? It's not an if, it's a when, okay? People that act like this are trying to physically intimidate you, and when you become numb to that, and you are no longer physically intimidated by the yelling, the shouting, the throwing things, the breaking things, whatever it may be, they will escalate to physical violence to get that reaction from you. Almost guaranteed. You would be hard-pressed to find me a situation where left unaddressed that it will not escalate to physical violence, because it will. So, if anybody acts like this around you, this is like a 100% rip the fucking cord out of the wall, walk away, and never come back, okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All done with that. Obviously, I think that there are certain instances where I think it's reasonable for people to crash out like this. For example, if you come home and your wife killed your dog, I think that's probably a fair time to freak the fuck out, okay? Or maybe you just learned that your whole family died in like a fucking plane crash, like their plane just exploded, Grey's Anatomy style or something like that. That person's probably going to crash out. I think that I would crash the fuck out if somebody was like, "Hey, dude, your whole family was in a plane that just exploded." I would probably freak the fuck out too, right? Like that. That's certainly there's rational and there's irrational responses to certain things, and oftentimes, if you're really upset, your responses aren't going to be rational. But the thing that is scary is taking this out on another person. Okay, that's what's scary. Obviously, if you're alone in your room by yourself and you're punching holes in the drywall, cosplaying as Jaden, that's completely different than using that to intimidate somebody else, to manipulate somebody to get what you want, or to provoke a specific response from somebody. That's not appropriate. So this was the other part that actually really freaked me out as well. And I saw a clip on the Reddit, I think it was. I think we watched this actually when we did the former Lexity coverage, was the way that if people can code switch like this is actually terrifying. I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything like this. I certainly have. It's like the scariest thing in the fucking world. If you can take somebody who's at a 100, like completely out of control, through the roof, fucking upset about something, and they can immediately reset, that's fucking scary. Because that person has so much control over their reactions they lead you to believe. And that means that they're doing it on purpose. And that's what's really fucking scary. Because if somebody is like genuinely upset about something and they're losing control, obviously that's not an appropriate response, but it demonstrates that they have the ability to control that and they're choosing to act like that for a reason. And they're acting like that because they want to scare you. They want that control over you. And that's a lot. That again, another immensely enormous red flag. Okay. I'm all in hindsight, right? Hindsight is 2020, obviously. First red flag, meeting up with somebody that you met who's like thirsting for attention on the internet. Meeting up with that person, they never ask you your age or verified with you. Never invite people that you don't know to come over to your house. Never sleep around people that you do not know. That's very scary. You're at the most vulnerable you could ever be. Don't fuck with people who are in active addiction ever. Okay, always a bad choice. You can still be friends with and support and encourage people to get clean and get well, but being a part of that cycle is not something that you ever want to self-insert yourself into. Like, never befriend somebody who is in active addiction. If your friend is struggling with addiction, that's one thing, but never go out of your way to involve yourself directly in this because you include yourself inadvertently in this cycle, and that's really not good. Okay? People that posture and throw things at you, if they cuss at you, if they get in your face and they fucking scream at you in a very aggressive and posturing way, not okay. Okay? Be done. This would be it for me. Like, again, kindness with love and respect. I would never be in this fucking situation in my wildest dreams. If I was, I never would have followed up. So the fact that Marcella was able to follow up and like check in on her, it's obvious that she kind of has a soft spot for this kind of stuff. But at the same time, you have to put yourself first in these situations. You cannot save everybody, and doing this will inadvertently only get you hurt, right? So the last thing is, well, there's two last things. The idea, a lot of manipulative people will do this thing where they say, like, I'm cursed, everybody's out to get me, nothing good ever happens to me, is a way to get you to tap into your empathy, to want to be that good or positive thing in that person's life. And you see this a lot with really manipulative men who are like, oh my God, my grandma just died, I'm so sad, but I've never seen boobs before. Can I see yours? That would make me feel a lot better. If you explain it in that way, you're like, that's fucking insane. And they're using your empathy to manipulate you into doing something that they want. And that's exactly what this is. And the very last part of this that I want to touch on is the idea of getting sober for someone else is never a good choice. And anybody that you've ever met or anybody who has ever dealt with addiction or dependency or anything like that, your recovery is your responsibility. Other human beings are fallible, and they're not always going to be around. They're not always going to say the right thing, and they're not always going to be there to support you. So generally, when you're thinking about constructing ways to deal with situations, you want to have a toolbox with enough tools that's big enough to allow you to be successful in any situation. So if we're thinking about coping skills, for example, let's say that my coping skill is smoking a cigarette. That's one of them, okay? Let's say that my coping skill is smoking a cigarette. I can't get up in the middle of my workday and smoke a cigarette. If I'm in the middle of a crisis, like say I'm at the hospital and I'm not having a good time, I can't smoke a cigarette. So that's completely off the table. What are some other things that I can do? Well, I also like taking showers. That's a coping skill. It's kind of like a nice reset for me. If I'm at work, I can't just take a shower. If I'm crashing out at work, I can't take a shower. If I'm stuck in traffic and I'm freaking the fuck out, I can't take a shower. Kind of having a variety of ways to cope with things that you're going through is going to be the most effective way at being able to deal with it, because you're not always going to have access to those resources at any given time. So the idea that your sobriety and your wellness is hinged on an individual is just a recipe for fucking disaster. So obviously, I have empathy for people like this, because sometimes, like, the reason that it's difficult is because I can look at this and say, like, I would never do this. This is risky and this is stupid. But we have to keep in mind that people that are successful at abusing people know how to, they're good at finding people like this, that people that have a big heart, people that are empathetic, people that don't know better. And so looking at it through that lens, it's like, looking back on this, obviously I know better. And I would imagine that some of you guys know better. But for people who don't know better, looking at this, you know, when it's written down like this right in front of you, you're like, this is fucking insane. But if you're in it, if you're in the thick of it and you're considering making some of these choices, you might not necessarily see it. And so obviously I wanted to kind of follow up after the fact. I didn't want to derail Marcella as she was speaking. And I also did not want to take away from her kind of like talking about her stuff to kind of do like my tap dance of, hey, like this is what you need to be doing, because that's very condescending and it's not my place. But just in general, looking back at the situation, that is something that I wanted to go over quickly, just to reiterate like why all of this shit is fucked up and bad. Not just like gasping at it and being like, oh, that's horrible, because it is, but there's also like a little bit of a deeper understanding and a deeper layer to a lot of it that some people just aren't good at recognizing, and that's quite all right. But that's the entire purpose of kind of talking about it and making it out in the open and airing it out, so people are able to recognize the patterns and recognize the signs, notice the red flags in the room around them. That way they stay away from situations or people like this, right?